Anything else you'd care to mention?
Well, there was this one giant lady who seemed super pissed. And anger...
Angerboda, I assume. Unsurprising.
Loki snorts, sinking back into his cushion. Why is that surprising? I mean, other than the fact that basically everyone here hates you? You catch yourself too late, but fortunately, he looks more entertained than offended.
This is why mortals are so widely regarded as one of the most foolhardy races in the Nine. I allow you some small measure of independence, and you are so emboldened that you dare speak to your master this way.
He says, extending a hand. Oh, great. There's the M word again. I'm just trying to be realistic. You reply, holding up your hands in a gesture of innocence. You can never be entirely certain if his smiles are masking that ruthlessness that seems to always be bubbling away inside of him. So you figure it's best you try to soothe him, just in case. If we're in this together, then, I should know what to look out for. He gives you a pointed look, hand still extended, and you take it with a sigh. Not entirely certain if it's good or bad that you aren't surprised at all when he pulls you into his lap. At least it isn't sexual, right? That's probably something to be thankful for. Other than the teasing that's clearly meant to unsettle you, Loki seemed to make it pretty clear that he isn't interested. What was it he said in the bath? Oh, right. It was, I'm not tempted by you. Rude. Although, at least it would be less bizarre than being some sort of therapy pet or something. Or maybe it wouldn't be, because the non-romantic nearness is already confusing enough, and you can't imagine what it would be like if he actually tried something. And there's the tricky fact that, when you don't consider all of the complications, the fact that he's crazy, that he tried to take over Earth, that he's basically holding you prisoner in the freaky ice palace that's now technically his, to name a few, you might actually be attracted to him. Loki gives your cheek a light pinch.
Are you even listening to me, girl?
I was distracted.
Of course you were.
You're trying to ignore the way his thumb idly strokes your cheek as he says it. It probably isn't intentional anyway.
I said that Angerboda is likely appalled that she'll have to wed a runt if she wants to solidify her position in court. I am hardly the ideal Jotun male.
I strongly disagree, your mind whispers. Oh no, that's not what you should be thinking right now. And especially not while you're in his lap. I thought Scotty was supposed to be marrying you. Internally, you cringe. You felt like an idiot for blurting it out like that. Like you care. You don't care.
Oh, did you somehow miss the fact that a Jotun king is expected to take many wives?
I didn't miss it, you mutter, pulling one of the fur blankets up to your chin. You hoped that you could manage to melt him. I just didn't expect you to suddenly start following tradition.
No one's helped me. You are a mouthy little wench. Were you not so terribly irritating, I might almost find it endearing.
Yeah, thanks.
Don't pout, mortal. Your condition could be much worse, you know. You could have frozen in that cave, or been devoured by wolves.
I get the idea. Sighing, you wiggle slightly to get comfortable, and Loki suddenly clears his throat. And I'm grateful. You bite out. Is that what you're waiting for? I'm glad you saved me from dying in the snow. Thank you. I do hope you keep it up. Loki is silent for a moment, and you watch the fire crackle, wishing you were in some nice little log cabin, tucked away somewhere pretty and picturesque on Earth. Hell, you wouldn't even mind having to share it with him at this point. Your standards have dropped kind of significantly.
I have to slay some legendary creature. A Vagu, a tremendous wolf by the name of Managam. That is my sacrifice, in your stead.
He says suddenly. He sounds surprisingly serious, and you twist to look up at him, though his expression doesn't give much away. I didn't realize it was that close of a thing.
Mortal blood.
He says simply, as if that explains everything. How's the wolf-slaying thing gonna go down?
We will travel to Yarnvidir, the Iron Wood. On the outskirts of Skadi's domain, in fact. I think she was pleased to be so included.
Loki smiles, glancing down at you. We?
Would you prefer to be left behind, mortal? All of your new little friends will be traveling with me, save for Bylister. I am certain he would be happy enough to stay behind.
Okay, I'm going on the trip. I get it. I just hope you know what you're doing.
And I hope that you know that I'm only allowing you to be so free with me right now because of how cross and frightened you surely will be at the banquet tonight.
Cross and frightened?
Yes. The feast last night was relatively tame. I expect this one to be a bit more raucous. As you're my little treasure, I'm certain that you will be a topic of much conversation.
He continues, shooting you a warning look as you open your mouth.
And no, you will not be absent from the feast. You will sit at my feet and do as you're told.
You clench your teeth, squeezing your eyes closed as you fall back against his shoulder.
Understood, Inunga?
Yes, Inili. I understand. You snap, knowing full well that if you did open your eyes, he'd likely be grinning. A really stocky giant sitting at one of the lower tables with Angerboda keeps making awkward eye contact. You aren't really sure what to do about it. Close your eyes, maybe? But then you would just look like an idiot. Plus, since Loki's just handing down bites of food whenever he damn well pleases, you don't want to accidentally end up with soup spilled on your head, or something else predictably humiliating. No, probably best to just ignore the 10-foot-tall, beady-eyed slab of blue granite who keeps looking right at you. Since Loki's sharing the head of the high table with the queen now, your nest is awkwardly off to the side of him. You aren't really as sheltered as you like. At least you have your hat again, and that kind of hides your face. The hat is a definite plus. You're definitely keeping it as a souvenir. You deserve a souvenir.
Here, only a sip.
Loki says suddenly, thrusting a mug in your face. The mug is fancy. You guess it must be his, which means it probably isn't poisoned. Or does that mean it's more likely to be poisoned than any other mug in the room? Probably the second one. Smiling slightly, you realize that you're the exact opposite of a traditional royal food taster. The king is checking the food to make sure it's safe for you. The thought flusters you slightly, though you reassure yourself that it's likely just because of the fact that he spent the entire afternoon holding you in front of a fire, in his palace. Loki didn't bother to look down or explain what the drink is, but it's dark and reddish, and it smells incredibly sharp and spicy. Okay, here goes nothing. Whatever it is, it's warm. You feel heat curl through you almost instantly, and it's a happy, pleasant sort of warmth. In fact, it makes you realize how cold you've been during this entire adventure, even when you're snuggled up with Jotunheim's most eligible bachelor. So, deciding that it's a sensation worth chasing, you take another sip. And another. His hand rests on your head, and you blink slowly as he glances down at you.
Better?
He begins to ask, but then he sees that the mug is now half empty, and he pauses for a moment. Oops.
Oh dear. Such a terrible lack of restraint. I do hope that doesn't kill you.
He says, deftly plucking it from your hands. He's such a drama queen. You scoff, languidly tilting your head back so you can see him better. I'm warm.
You are besotted.
As soon as he turns back to the table, his hand still resting on your head, you risk a tiny eye roll. Stupid Loki. You don't actually drink, but you're pretty sure that isn't how it works. It's only been like 5 minutes, right? That one troll of a giant sitting with Angerboda makes eye contact again, and you're starting to feel a little pissed about it. Hey, you whisper, tugging on Loki's pant leg. Not very easy, by the way, since they're kinda tight. That guy over there's creeping me out. You see his jaw clench. Oops again. That's probably a violation of the only speak when spoken to thing. But it is a nice view of his jaw from down here. He keeps up whatever conversation he's got going on up there for a while, and in the meantime, you continue to tug on the material of his pants, trying to figure out exactly what it is. It's gotta be some sort of leather, surely, but it's super soft and sleek. His hand leaves your head after a moment or two, and he leans down slightly, frowning, his fingers curling around yours.
What?
That giant, the one with the angry lady. He's staring, and I don't like it.
Nons. Everyone is staring, mortal. I'm the king, and you're the only human in the realm.
Loki hisses. He sends a searching look towards the table holding Angerboda's group, and then lets out a restrained sigh.
All right then.
And with that, he grabs you by the back of your tunic and hauls you into his lap. There's a slight lull in the conversation in the hall, but you barely notice. His kingly chair is pretty roomy since he isn't insanely massive, and you curl up pretty easily. Haha, suck it, angry face. Can't get me now, you think, feeling slightly smug. He's chilly, but since you're all warm and fuzzy, the contrast almost feels nice. Refreshing, kind of. Like a breeze on a sunny beach. Loki would die if he heard that. It's enough to make you giggle, and you eventually doze off with a small smile on your lips.
Bring her.
You hear, and while you don't bother opening your eyes, the dark fuzzy warmness is just too nice. Honestly, you're pretty sure that Loki would try to wake you if you were dying. You feel your body being jostled, the background noise soon fading away. A girl's voice comes next, slightly amused.
She is very light, sire.
Small and foolish. A dangerous pairing. She is to have no more spirits.
Yes, my king.
There's silence for a while, then a light scraping sound.
Put her on the bed. I'll deal with this.
You aren't moving anymore, and there's a nice softness cushioning you. A contented sigh slips out. Perfect.
Is there anything else I might do for you before you retire, Your Majesty?
It has not gone unnoticed, Gerudidotir, that you choose to address me as the king before my coronation.
Of course, sire. If you are to be the king of Jotunheim, then the king of Jotunheim you shall be.
Poetic. You and your sister will keep an eye on my pet when we journey to Yarnvidir. Do you accept the task?
I do.
Good. You may go.
There's something soft around you, and something hard beneath you. Groaning, you turn your head away in a desperate attempt to avoid the light that's managing to seep through your eyelids. The smooth surface pressed against your face stirs, and you force your eyes to open as your head practically screams in protest. It's Loki's bare chest. You groan again. His arms wrap around from behind you, his hand covering your eyes.
Wishing you'd listen to me now, aren't you, mortal? Pathetic.
Loki sits up and your head falls against the furs beneath you. You yelp. Even that hurts.
I did not even get to bathe last night since you drank yourself into a stupor. I suppose it might have been a good opportunity to drown you.
Being drowned right now sounds pretty good, actually. Pressing your fingers into your eyes, you roll onto your stomach, trying to burrow away from the daylight. Go ahead. Kill me.
Don't tempt me, girl. You can stay in the bed for now, but when I leave my chambers, you're coming with me.
Twisting slightly, you peek up at him through your fingers. Magic?
Absolutely not. I have no inclination to waste any more magic on you. And I did warn you. Here.
He plucks a crystal clear cup from the table by his new massive bed, then drops something in it.
This should make you slightly more bearable.
Sitting up, you take it from his hand, frowning as the bitter taste creeps down your throat. You feel like you're going to vomit, and you can only imagine how that would go. Last night is spotty at best. Then, was I in your lap in front of everyone? Loki crouches beside the bed, grinning in earnest.
Why, yes, mortal, you were. I also thought it prudent to abandon my efforts to continue feeding you after you licked honey from my fingers.
He snickers as the blood drains from your face, clearly delighted.
Had you forgotten?
You liar.
Oh no. I'm afraid my memory of this evening is all too perfect. Ask your little guardians if you must.
His eyes sparkle. The pounding in your head seems to spike.
Ask my brother. I'm certain he noticed.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Stop smiling like that, please. What was in that? He stands, mercifully, and crosses over to the massive trunk on the other side of the room, which he promptly begins rummaging through. You realize then, much to your embarrassment, that you're only in a few of the many layers that you started with last night. Wonderful. This just gets better and better.
I believe it contains some sort of tree sap. And a distilled berry from the south, perhaps? I don't particularly recall. It's nothing I've ever had before.
You're about to go on a tirade about him giving you something when he doesn't even know what's in it, but he starts to strip off his pants, so you settle for awkwardly averting your eyes and silently burning in mortification.
At least it warmed you for a time, I suppose. You did mention that in bed last night. Repeatedly.
He's just screwing with me now, you assure yourself. No way I was babbling like an idiot in the middle of the night, while snuggling up to the God-King bastard who's keeping me trapped here. Nope, didn't happen, and he can't prove me wrong.
Today will be taxing. I've tasked Eurodio's daughters with keeping an eye on you.
He says. You risk a peek and find that he's fully dressed. And blue. Loki seems to spot the confusion on your face.
Your little forest twins, as you call them. Really, girl, you must become better with names if you're going to be any use to me.
They're tricky names.
I know. Drink that. And lie down. I'll fetch you when I need you.
He rests his fingertips on the rim of the glass for a moment, and you watch in fascination as it refills itself. You feel way too crappy to argue, and you're practically asleep by the time you bury your face back against the bed. In fact, you almost entirely miss the way Loki pulls more blankets over you before he leaves the room.